Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. What you're looking at is a Baja Motorsports. I believe it's a 70cc. I haven't found the markings on the motor yet. Small spark plug engine. And this is a pit bike. For anybody who's had one of these, they are just a joy to kind of beat about on. Even for somebody my size, if you have the longer arm, and that appears to be relatively long, you could stay on it without it wheeling up and dumping you on the ground. Anyway, so I bought this thing at the auction, the let's see, Hudson Valley Old Time Equipment Auction up there in Hudson, New York. I think I paid $110 for it back then. You guys could look at my old videos. And one of the reasons why I bought it, this back assembly, if you need it, especially if you need it elsewhere, kind of comes up expensive. So in a lot of ways I got a lot of parts. It did come with the front wheel. Makes it more or less complete. Obviously I'm missing the axle. I'm missing a cover here. It appears to be seized. So what I want to do is get this motor off and figure out what its problem is. If it's 110 cc's and it's got a 4-speed, it's got a certain amount of value. If it's only 70 cc's with a 3-speed, there's less value to it, to me. I do have other engines to smash on here if this one's dead, but the trick is to know if it's dead or not. So anyway, let's spend a few minutes, see if we can't get it to turn over. From there, compression, and then who knows, maybe we'll even get it running today. All right, let the issues begin. That's not a good sign. There's a casting. You have the stator coils, and this is part of it, right? That whole casting, and this being snapped off. That's kind of the first thing. Right now I got to put a $30 ignition system, right? Let's add it up as we go along. The place you need to start with every engine is she seized, and I'm beginning to think maybe yes. It's got a lifetime warranty on it. Yeah, I'm thinking this engine might be screwed. Yeah, I got nothing. Let's get it off the frame and see what happened. Now, a good place to start. So let's see what the oil looks like. Looks like it's got oil in it. And it really doesn't look that bad. Strange. Yeah, let's get it off and see what happened. It's always interesting to see what happens when an amateur mechanic gets loose on these things. I was wondering what the tape was for, and it turns out they pulled this bolt out. The exhaust manifold was held on by only one of these. Other than that, all I have to do is take the top off the carburetor and get these two bolts out. And they really haven't been fighting me much. I didn't check the VIN to see what year this thing is, but it doesn't look like it's all that horribly old. As a matter of fact, if you give the gas a sniff here, it really doesn't smell half bad. So I wonder what they did to it. This looks pretty rusty. Maybe they left it on its side and it ingested water, right? Get water into these, plays havoc. Anyway, these bolts, the bottom one, well, good, it's ready to come out, so I'll get that out. Then I'll tap this one out, or get the top off the carburetor, tap this out, and the whole thing should just drop right down. I think the foot pegs, I might have to mess with that brake lever a little bit, or take the foot pegs off to get it off. Anyway, we're almost ready to find out what happened to this poor thing. So as you go forward with these things, you discover more stuff. I mean, dumb little things like this bolt was missing. I looked all over the place, and normally, like along here or here, normally the top, you see how many cc's the engine is. It doesn't say. So I'm thinking it's the smaller version. I'm thinking it's 50, 70, 90. I don't think it's a 110 or 50 or 70. I don't think it's one of the bigger ones. Anyway, it does seem to be stone cold locked up. I messed with that a little bit more. The carburetor appears to be seized up, which makes me wonder about water again. What I'm going to do is let's pop the head off. Maybe from there we can guess. You know, like you got an E22 and a WD over here. I don't know. Somehow in my mind, I'm leaning toward 90. I also, you know, kind of messed with the sprocket here and shifted. It did go into gear, and it's a downshift pattern, which is kind of interesting. So it does have an adjustable clutch, which is good. It's a shame it's seized. It's a little better motor. Disassembly for the engine, if anybody's like interested, right? This went here, plate covers that. You spin that bolt out, give it a little tap, the thing pops right off. Interesting that there seems to be plenty of oil on the timing chain, and the timing chain appears to be tight. And getting up into here, as you see down here, there's plenty of oil. Right, those are still moving. They must have dropped this thing on its side and let the rain get in. Okay, you continue disassembling, right? You got to get this off. You got to get these out. Once you get, obviously I broke them loose already. So once you get all this stuff loosened up and out, right? You pop the gear out, you get this off, and then hopefully the head pops right off, right? You got to tap it a little bit to break the gasket loose, but yeah, it should be right off, and we can see what kind of surprises we got inside. I predict rust. All right, here you go. You want to be careful not to like lose these alignment pins. And as a matter of fact, one of the reasons why I really don't like working on engines that somebody took apart before I got to them is a lot of times these things are missing. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking the head's probably fine. That we have a piston seize up here, and I'm thinking, you know what? I gotta take the bore off and take a look in there. You could see we still have the timing chain hanging here. You want to kind of pay attention because at some point you really don't want to drop that into the case. A lot of times it gets in there really well, and it's a bear to get loose. Yeah, I mean, I'm not positive it's just a bore seize, although that's pretty nasty. I'm a little surprised it won't back off though, right? A lot of times they're seized this way, but then they'll back up. So anyway, let's attempt to tap this out and see what happens. So here we have it. It appears that this is seized. It's seized in the bore. It's probably weather seized, right? You see all that horribleness came out. And it's probably a 50 or a 70 cc. It doesn't say. but I'm thinking 50 or 70. I've seen 70cc motors stamped, so I'm beginning to wonder if it's not a baby little 50. I also compared the size of this to like that guy, which is a 125, and the Wilderness or whatever the other 90cc model is, and they're both bigger, so this is 50 or 70. Anyhow, you could wood block this, put a wood block against that, kind of pull on this as you're tapping the end of the wood block, driving that back in. Be careful not to pound on those guys. So this engine is probably 100% fixable. The only thing I run into with it is kind of ask yourself the question, why? This all-terrain vehicle running and doing everything it should do is like, I don't know, 350 to 450, maybe 500 on the outside if you clean it up and kind of fix up the fenders, do absolutely everything it needs. So you kind of got that number you got to put in one side of your head. I'm at 110 so far. What would it take to fix this? A gasket set. I think I could tap it out. I might even be able to save the rings, but you're putting in some time. You got to put an axle on that front wheel. You got all the cables it needs. It's a lot of work. It's not much money, but it's a lot of work to fix it up. Back to my buddy Steve as he runs his clock rate. You got to see it. So this is an example of a $50 all-terrain vehicle that sold for $100, $110, $120, whatever I paid for it. So it was not a good deal. I buy these things because I like to work on them, I like to troubleshoot them, and I like to make videos about them. So for me, it's okay. But for you guys, for getting a deal at the Hudson auction that you're going to ride around on and all that other stuff, if you don't like to work on them, it's going to be, I don't know if you could get a shop to even work on it. A lot of shops won't go anywhere near this China stuff with a wrench. Anyway, I want to thank you all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I want to thank you all for dropping by to watch and comment and subscribe. Remember to keep your feet down, your heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.